had two really big, potentially civilization-ending consequences. One is the one I've been talking about, which is the feminization of institutions. The other is declining birth rates. That, too, can cause the end of your civilization. I don't think wokeness is an ideology. If it's an ideology, the way we get rid of it is by having better arguments. But if wokeness is an inevitable result of demographic feminization, then we really can't trust that wokeness is over.
And it's basically, I mean, I'll let you say it in your own words, but it's kind of a little bit about how the fact that women now control or at least represent the majority of the employees at many institutions is one of the reasons that society has gone the way it has. Is that fair?
I think that's fair to say. Some people have reacted to the piece by, acting as if I'm saying women cause all the problems in the world. I'm definitely not saying that, but I am saying that feminization has caused one specific, particular problem, and that is wokeness. Like a lot of people, I was baffled by the woke phenomenon. Why did everyone seemingly go crazy all at once in the summer of 2020? It was inexplicable. It seemed to be mass hysteria, genuinely. And the more I thought about what caused it, which is a very important question, because if we know what causes it, we know how to prevent it from happening in the future. I read an article that someone else wrote that put forward a really simple, elegant thesis, which is that wokeness is simply feminine patterns of behavior applied to institutions where women had not been very well represented until recently. Women tend to be more consensus-focused, consensus-oriented. Men, when they're approaching a moral question, will ask, what are the facts? What are the rules? Whereas women will say, what are the relationships at play here? How can we make everybody happy? How can we reach an outcome that will satisfy all the parties? As opposed to the male perspective of how do we reach an outcome that is just and according to the rules. That sounded a lot like wokeness to me. And the sort of piece that made it all click into place for me was the coincidence of timing. It is the case, just we can all agree as a matter of fact, that a lot of institutions that went woke or were affected by wokeness became demographically female in the last 5 years. Law schools in America turned majority female in 2016, and they've gotten a little bit more female every year since then. I think now it stands at 55, 56%. The New York Times became majority female in its workforce in 2018, which is maybe why it was so susceptible to the fads of wokeness and the internal policing and the Slack revolts that took place internally over there. Medical schools are now majority female. The white-collar workforce overall, employees in the United States with college degrees, a majority of them are women. And managers, management positions in the U.S. workforce, 46% female, so almost majority female. So the fact that all of these institutions tipped over to being majority female around the same time that wokeness emerged seemed to me that couldn't possibly be a coincidence.
Wow. What's your thoughts, guys?
I think she's pretty accurate. I mean, yeah, definitely the wokeism stems from feminist mindset. You know what I mean? It's just there was a study that was done. I'm trying to find the website I read it on, but it said that men who have lower testosterone are more left wing, but when their testosterone levels increase through TRT or testosterone boosting supplements or whatever they become more conservative. It's like feminism, they don't have
black women.
What do you mean?
Well, black women have testosterone coursing through their veins, so I mean,
yeah. but they're very more ethnocentric, you know what I mean, compared to other types of women.
Yeah, they're more loyal.
No, there's
to
other
race.
factors for sure.
No, black women are very loyal to their race. They're not like white women. Black women are very, very loyal. Now it might be the dynamic. It might be the dynamic, different, their races on the bottom, white races on the top. It could be that, but black women are staunch pro-blacks, you know what I mean, when it comes down to it.
But some of them can definitely take down an NFL linebacker.
Yeah, definitely.
What made you think that any of this stuff applied to black women, Hot Black? I'm just curious.
Just the testosterone angle.
Yeah, but they're not really, I don't know, they don't really believe in that. Well, I think a lot of these minorities don't really truly believe in this woke shit. They just do this to manipulate gliders. Yeah. They just say this just to...
No, I agree with that, but here's the thing, though. Black women are still women. Like they're still women. They just have more testosterone than other women. They don't have nearly close to testosterone of
No,
any
I'm just
male
talking.
group. Yeah, but they do have higher rates of testosterone than all the other women groups. But what at the same time though, like, yeah, there's an element of we gonna extort white people, and we're gonna browbeat white people with this woke shit. But at the same time, like, black people do as a whole, like, have, like, they don't like faggots, like they don't like gays really. Like, they're not saying that it ain't a lot of gay blacks, but they'll the way they talk about gays is not PC. Okay, the way black people talk about is not PC at all.
I mean, in some ways, blacks. I've read articles about this. They're very socially conservative in certain ways.
Yeah, they go to church a lot. They used to, but you have to think though. Like what she said has taken effect more so in the black community. Like if like when it rains in other communities, it's a monsoon in the black community. Okay, so it's like, if she's saying that white women have taken over all these, women in general have taken over all these positions, all these fields, imagine what it's like in Black America, where the discrepancy between college degrees between black women and black men is way more than it is with white men and white women. Like,
and also, some women run the household. Sorry to cut you off.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
More women run the household too.
More breadwinners. Yep.
Yeah, more breadwinners, more men in jail.
Yep.
More men shiftless, not doing anything.
Millen.
Yep.
Yeah, milling. Yeah, more men milling.
I never knew about that term till the other day.
Yeah, milling around, man. It's a phenomenon. It's big in a lot of African countries. Yeah, but it's you're right though, that it would take more of effect in the black community than it would in any other community.
And management positions in the U.S. workforce, 46% female, so almost majority female. So the fact that all of these institutions tipped over to being majority female around the same time that wokeness emerged seemed to me
let me play it from here. I don't want to play it from there. Dang, I don't want to play it from there.
Frozen off the book.
The New York Times became majority female over there. Medical schools are now majority, possibly be a coincidence.
And there's so many questions within that. I guess the first stress test of this argument would be, well, they were also very close to being majority female 10 years prior to that, right? So does going from 48 to 52%, is that really such a major shift that it would cause something as dramatic as that?
Well, you'd be surprised. I thought that the higher education workforce, professors in the United States, would have gone female ages and ages ago. But it actually only tipped female in 2023. So we think of feminization as something that happened a long time ago, but it really does take a certain amount of time for time to pass and older generations to retire. But I think the reason why attaining a critical mass of women has such a dramatic effect is that we're not talking about individual differences between individual men and individual women, but differences in group dynamics. For example, you might be able to say from the perspective of psychology as a discipline that women tend to be more emotional than men and men tend to be more rational, or any kind of generalization about men and women might have a certain amount of empirical support based on surveys. But at the end of the day, those differences are not massive, right? Like, female support for free speech is greater or is less than male by double digits, but not, it's not like night and day. But when it comes to group dynamics, how does an organization function? How does an institution deal with conflict? When you're talking about those kinds of things, those tend to be more binary. Like, either you solve your conflicts within an organization in a masculine way or in a feminine way. Either open conflict is something that your institution will tolerate, or it's not. So that's the kind of thing where once you get a critical mass, you really kind of have to pick which one you're going to do.
Well, you mentioned consensus and sort of empathy and including all perspectives. That really isn't what happened with wokeness, though, is it? Because it was more like, we've come to a new consensus and anyone who doesn't agree is going to get killed, basically. Is that really? I mean, that might be the way women deal with this on a group basis. I don't know. You tell me.
No, it's hard to verbalize some of these differences because it might be a convenient shorthand to say men are more comfortable with conflict than women. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? But a famous psychology study, very often if you're studying gender differences, you're a psychologist, the way you'll do your study is you'll just go to a playground and watch the kids playing and observe and count up how many times somebody hits somebody else or something like that. And there was an experiment of that type done, I believe, in Scandinavia, and it had a really funny outcome. The psychologists observed the kids playing and counted up how many fights they had. And they said, okay, we observe that the men fight a lot more than the girls. But then as a supplement, they decided to confirm their observations by talking to the kids and saying, how many fights did you have today, Billy? Or how many fights did you have today, Sally? And the discrepancy was huge. They found that the girls reported having just as many fights as the men. The level of conflict, male and female, on that schoolyard was exactly the same. But their observations had failed to record any of the female conflicts because when they asked the girls, oh, you had a fight today, what did that entail? It was things like Megan said she was going to tell everybody they couldn't be my friend anymore.
Which is where words of violence comes from. Or I imagine you're right.
That's right. That's right. And one of the most consistent.
That's deep. So that's why women, okay, so that's why the woke is like so against freedom of speech. And so, like, you gotta use my pronouns. You can't hate speech, unconscious bias, you know what I mean? Rhetoric and all this because girls see words as having so much power. That's why they call you a bitch ass nigga or a punk when you react to words as a man. You know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, like, it's all saying, like, guys, you say, like, hey, what's up, motherfucker? Like, hey, what's up, dickhead? And, like, that's a regular greeting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, exactly. Women, it would be, oh my gosh. Yeah, clutching pearls and over like that. Yeah.
But that just goes to show you that, the sun people, like I've said this before. Like, I remember this one time where it was just you and I on the panel. And, like, I said this before, sons are very paradoxical in that they can be masculine, but they can also have that feminine mindset and that they take words as violence. You know what I mean? And that one word or something said the wrong way can lead to getting shot or a big fight or whatever the fuck. So sons are very fragile, I would say. But I don't know if that fragility has to do with like their masculine ego or them being raised by women. What do you think, Ak?
I think, sons are more violent naturally, but I do think that I see a lot of the stuff we were talking about where sons will give you a fucked up nickname. You know what I'm saying? And you'll rock out with that for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Like sons will give you a wild nickname, like Big Nose Kevin, and your shit be, you know what I'm saying? That'll be your name. You'll be 50 years old. You'll be known as Big Nose Kevin and shit, you know what I'm saying?
Chicken neck.
Yeah, sons still got, son men still got the ability to, you know what I'm saying, use words, take a lot. And then when sons roast each other, it's so personal and it's so ugly. And in general, like, nobody really ever gets shot. Like, you can get shot over that more, of course, than any other group. But when sons roast, how ugly and personal and, just mean-spirited it gets. And, like, I remember being in school and it would just be so... I didn't know until I went to the Quaker school that, everybody's not like this. Like, it would be... Sons are just mean-spirited when they come to roasting. So we can do all that shit without, catching feelings too much, but our levels are much higher. You know what I mean? I guess
they also don't like it. I guess it's different when some people do it between some people. It's okay, but when gliders get involved, it's just
exactly. Yeah, gliders get involved. Yeah, everything's racism.
Some women have a way with words when it comes to crafting the most foul, base, disgusting insults. Though, like, they will pull some shit out that it really, like, I mean, will just make you think about it later on.
Yes. And when you're a man, a black man, you go through that. black men deal with that all the time. Okay, they deal with that type of from black women all the time. So when you see a black man on the street, or you might go to you go to the movies and then you see a lot of couples there, black couples. You go to the mall or whatever restaurant. That woman is exactly what you just explained. That man has heard some foul shit about his mama, about his parents, about his family, about his upbringing, about everything, about his personal things he's told her about himself. They are all they're almost all like that, right?
They're like wizards or something with the way that they formulate that. I mean, obviously there are a lot of sweet talking Sun women too, but like when you get them angry, that shit can be a little scary.
Yeah, they go for the jugular.
Yep,
they go hard.
Yeah, and you can see why some Sun men snap. And here's the thing: you might think, oh well, Pookie's a killer, or Pookie's, a shooter. He don't have to deal with that shit. They don't care. They don't give a fuck if you a shooter. They don't give a fuck if you a killer. Them niggas get the same shit.
Conservative from the hood is back.
Oh yeah? He in the back? Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Right, go ahead. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, my guy? What's going on, Mr. President?
What up, dude? We should have been on that. Should have been on the vote, man.
Nah, yeah. I be coming on every night and just listening in, man. I be commenting.
Did you vote? Who did you vote for?
Nah, I didn't vote, man. I didn't vote.
Okay. He lying like shit. He don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, man.
Probably voted for Fisherman.
Nah, Hot Black would have got my man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Salute.
Yeah, but what do you think about the way black women? Do you agree with what we was talking about?
Hell yeah. I ain't pulling brown sugar, man. Coming back, man. He's just flipping out.
Yo, brown sugar is a perfect example. You got her angry on here. She go, you can't stop her.
Right. Yeah. That's how women. But yeah, this wokeness. Yeah, it has affected the black community. Now that I think about it, man, yeah, it has. Hold on, let me play it from here. I keep forgetting.
Psychological differences between men and women is women have a strong impulse of caring, right? Which is exactly, I'm not somebody who looks to evolutionary biology for the solutions to all human phenomena, but this particular one does seem glaringly Darwinian, right? That women see helpless things and they want to take care of them. That is definitely something that Darwin would find a pretty easy explanation for. But that's also something that wokeness can easily weaponize. It means that if you can frame your political issue as a way of caring for some helpless class, then you're golden, right?
Minorities are babies.
That's right. But that is precisely what's going on at a deeper level. And that's why it's been so effective.
Wow, that's deep, right?
The white woman's burden.
Wow, that's human psychology. Like I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, yo, she was going to the store and she was talking about, and I was like, yo, don't fall for the sales, because sales are, that taps into women's psychology. You know that, right? Sales,
yeah.
Women feel because they're the gatherers. We the hunters and they're the gatherers, so they evolve being gatherers, and the sale psychology taps into their mind frame, the way they gather. When in these stores, they're gathering, they're in the bush gathering berries and shit, right, gathering little grubs and shit to take back to the hut and shit, right. That's how the store works. So when the sale says, hey, more berries for half the price, and they can't resist it. That's why your woman always spends more money, or she always goes to the store for a couple things and she comes back with a bunch of bags, because
bags full of berries and grubs and shit.
That's facts.
They use
it's just for them females, man.
Yeah, her psychology. Yeah, exactly. They use her own psychology against her.
Buying all that celery that you ain't never gonna eat.
Yeah. Yes, it's yeah. Oh yeah, that's celery. Oh my god,
It's gotta be in there.
Yo, we had so much celery and green onions one time, man, in the refrigerator. It's like, man, it was like 6 packs of celeries and a bunch of rotten green onions and shit. And I was like, what? And then she went to the store the next time and bought some more celery. God damn, woman.
Just in the infinitesimal chance that you're gonna, have some celery or peanut butter or some
we do
whatever the
and I don't know about no.
I don't even know what the hell you eat with celery.
But yes, you can put peanut butter and raisins on it or something. But like celery for me is only for like tuna fish salad and shit like that.
That's for
Like
the
that.
Trinity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the what's onions and
onion, celery, bell pepper.
Put the celery in some soup.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's good with other stuff, but like by itself.
Yeah, I mean, you get wings. Whenever I get wings, I get celery and carrots with it. Eat it with the blue cheese or
that bag has got a lot of celery in it.
I know.
That's a whole more than you need.
Yeah,
and then she gets 2 for 1.
I'm telling you, man. But yeah, they take care. They take advantage of women's psychology, man, because they women they can't like that shit is hardwired, man, into their brain, man. It's hearing that this woke shit that's amazing. Wow, that's crazy.
It's always a white liberal woman leading the charge.
Yep.
And Helen, your article, and I encourage everyone to read it. It's fascinating, whether you agree or disagree with it. But you cited one particular case, which is the former president of Harvard. So let's talk about that, because you use it as the main example for the thrust of your argument.
That's right. This was back in 2005. So this is before anybody had ever heard of wokeness. Now, I don't know if your listeners in the UK will be familiar with Larry Summers, but he was at that time probably one of the 10 most powerful people in the country. He was not just the president of Harvard. He had also been in Bill Clinton's cabinet. He had been at the World Bank. He was an academically eminent economist, very well connected in the Democratic Party, just a really powerful guy. He was invited to give a speech at a conference on female underrepresentation in science and math, and he decided to deliver his remarks off the cuff. And to be really, and actually, if you know anything about Larry Summers, he has a reputation for being a really blunt guy. He's somebody who does not suffer fools gladly. So when you're getting the blunt Larry Summers, you're really getting something quite direct. But the talk was supposed to be off the record. And that's important to emphasize, that the women who listened to what he said and took it to a reporter were violating the rules that they had undertaken to follow when they attended. Anyway, he said that female underrepresentation in the hard sciences was attributable to a lot of different factors, not necessarily just patriarchy, not thinking ladies can be scientists. There is a difference of aptitude at the very, very, very high ends. If you're talking about people who are going to be tenured at MIT, that's the way out at the end of the bell curve, and there tend to be more men out there than women. And also differences in taste. That is, women tend to gravitate towards professions and fields where they get to deal with people, as opposed to something really cold and abstract like physics. Not to say that no women do, but that is the tendency. So women who are way out there at that end of the bell curve and have the aptitude for a career in hard science would maybe gravitate to something like medicine as opposed to something like physics. So Larry Summers said all this, and there were a bunch of lady scientists in the audience who said, "How dare you?" And they gave quotes to a reporter, something like, "I felt like I was going to throw up," or "I thought I was going to black out." And it became a huge controversy. And there were a lot of other controversies during Larry Summers' tenure as president of Harvard. So that was not the only thing that brought him down, but it was definitely at the very top of the list. And about a year later, he resigned.
And what's really interesting is with that case, and now I don't doubt that it caused a massive stir when he went on and basically went, "I'm going to freestyle and deliver truth bombs to all of you. So here we are, enjoy it." He's also, if you get to be president of Harvard, you are going to make enemies aplenty. In order to get to that position, you're going to have to fire people, antagonize people, because that's just the nature of the job. So he would have had loads of enemies who were willing just to pounce at that particular moment, surely.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember some of the other controversies that have attended Larry Summers' career. And I believe one from his tenure at the World Bank was when he said, "Are we sure we want to really, really enforce labor laws against having sweatshops in third world countries? Because isn't having sweatshops good for them sometimes? I mean, it leads to economic development." He phrased it in a really blunt way. I feel like this is a guy who has a history of putting his foot in his mouth in a way that I frankly find really admirable.
Yeah, but certain people don't. So then has that been extrapolated right the way through society, essentially, is your argument?
That was one of the first times that a cancellation happened, that people heard somebody say something offensive, pitched a little fit, and managed to rob this person of his job. The particular aspect of it that seemed so full of foreboding looking back is that there was no attempt to debate the issue rationally. There were plenty of people even people on the Harvard faculty with eminent expertise in the relevant scientific fields, willing to stand up and say everything Larry Summers said was perfectly within the scientific mainstream. Greater male variability hypothesis, that's, everybody thinks that. So there were people willing to say he's right on the facts. Criticize him all you want for his tone, but he was right on the facts. And the women who went after his job were not willing to have that debate. They were not willing to talk about it rationally. They just said, I'm offended. I felt like I was going to black out. He was invalidating my career. This is everything I worked for. Very much a feelings over fact kind of thing. And so I don't mind if there are people who are feminists or who have different political views to those that I have, but it's important that we be able to debate them, right? That we have rational arguments. And this was one of the first instances where people just said, no, I'm not gonna debate it. I'm just gonna say I'm offended. And that's gonna be the end of the story.
Because Jordan Peterson used to talk a lot about this, where he used to talk about one of the ways that females try and destroy or attack other people isn't through the physical realm, it's through reputation destruction. And this is essentially what you're talking about.
That's deep, right? Think about that. Now think about what we've seen. He said,
well, I mean,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, like that's kind of well known is that women are more verbal and that they use group tactics and all the other shaming because they're not able to physically use violence like men are. So that's been known for a long time.
Yeah, but
especially people
reputation destruction. We're not talking about hurting your feelings. We're talking about destroying your reputation. Think about it. Think about how many men have been accused of rape, sexual assault, hitting a woman. That's what women. I've been accused of hitting a woman that I didn't hit. I've been accused of, doing things, nothing like rape or anything like that, but by women that they told they were going to tell everybody or tell other people. And it's reputation destruction. And the thing about it is we see that. Like we've seen that with the Me Too movement. Because she says when the critical mass of women started taking over all of these fields, right, was recently, right? What did we see in 2017? The Me Too movement, where all these men got their reputations destroyed in mass. I'm talking about not just one here, one there. It was literally a movement of destroying men's reputations. And that happened at the same time she's talking about the critical mass of women reached over 50% in all these fields.
I'm going to tell you something right now. This episode is probably going to go down as one of the best episodes on the show.
Maybe so. We had a good one the other day, though, about the Jews and the blacks in the 60s.
That one was deep.
Yeah, but
which one was that? When was that?
I'll drop it tomorrow. I'm going to drop it tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
About how the Jews crew took over Baltimore.
Yeah, this is crazy. But yeah, this is illuminating, though. This is illuminating that we had the Me Too movement around the same time. Then we had a woman almost get the president. Think about it. She said the critical mass started in the late teens and in the early 2020s. What do we have that we never had before? We had a woman come this close to being president, and we had a woman vice president immediately after that. And then we had another woman come this close to being president. Now it all makes sense. What do we see every time we go to any city? Who's the police chief? And I'm not talking about in bubble West Virginia. I'm talking about in New Orleans.
Grandma New Orleans.
You know what I'm saying?
That's gotta be the worst.
Baltimore, like we're talking about in these DC. You're talking about in these rough cities. Who's the police chief?
Like in Philadelphia, we had Danielle Outlaw and how she was soft on crime and all that. We see it in every big city.
So they're taking over like a lot of and we're seeing the destruction. Now, listen, I've been a lot of this stuff has been blamed on Jews, right? A lot of this stuff has been blamed on Jews, and I'm not here to get the Jews off the hook or any stretch of the imagination, but
they've had plenty of help.
It's a confluence of factors. The destruction of Western civilization, there's a confluence of factors. It's not just the Jews. This theory makes a lot of sense. They're 50% of law schools. They're 50% of medical. They're 50% of managers in corporate America. When we see it in think about, even if they were 10% of police chiefs, they literally don't make up 10% of cops. What percentage of cops do you think are women?
Not very many, maybe 15, 20.
No, I don't even know about that. Let's see. Let me look.
It depends on the location, but a lot of state trooper agencies, it's no more than 5%. I know that much, but local
AI
police might
says
be
13 to 15% of all.
Okay, so
on average,
every major city, the police chief's a woman. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And a job like that, where it takes a strong man, you gotta.
not even a badass woman. It's like it's your grandma is the police chief. Like New Orleans is the worst example, man. In a place where it's a job that really needs some vigor.
Yeah.
Especially with the type of stuff people you guys got down there, yeah.
Well, seriously, yeah. I mean, there's shootings every day down here.
Yeah.
Not like there aren't in a lot of places, but it's just prolific.
Yeah. I mean, for a city that size, the homicide rate was it's gone down, but it was just insane.
Something like 12 people shot this week already.
Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ. That's a lot.
Yeah.
In the 90s, it was really bad. It was like 400 in 1 year for a city's less than 500,000, you know?
Yeah, it was murder capital for a long time.
The 90s was like that for everybody. 80s and 90s.
Got 300,000, I think, there in New Orleans, 300, 400,000, something like that. It's not that big of a city as you think.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.